Welcome to today's live stream. You guys are all still rolling in. We're going to get started here in just a moment. Surging Sparks is looking like a pretty mediocre set so far, to be honest, but
that's being generous.
Here's to hoping that the other half of this set will be busted.
It does have some really good alt arts, though.
You don't have to have good cards to have good art.
Yeah, I feel like most of the sets you can say that about.
Yeah, like even Obsidian Flames has good art in it.
I mean, honestly, I honestly do love, like, ever since like the trainer gallery and all that. I just love the fact that there's actually stuff worth actually opening packs for, rather than just like, oh, you need this big chase card or this card for your deck. Like, there's actually stuff for like collectors to actually just sit there and crack packs.
Yeah. Honestly, the art has been amazing. IRs, SIRs, all they were great in the gallery, but it was also separate. The IRs being part of the actual set, like since Scarlet and Violet on, they have gone hard on the arts.
To be fair, whether or not they're part of the same numeration or not, they're still
look at
in
the
bags.
on.
But what I'm saying is like if they've gotten focused a lot more, and that honestly the art has just gotten much better.
All right, let's look at some of the cards that have been revealed from Paradise. Well, we're looking at all the cards that have been revealed from Paradise Dragona. That's literally today's video. Anyway, Execute from Paradise Dragona has Precocious Evolution. If you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn. Search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and put it on this Pokemon to evolve it, and then shuffle your deck.
So Alolan Exeggutor.
Yeah, there's also for Eternal there might be an Exeggutor that could be interesting for this too.
Can I play Big Eggy with it?
Huh?
Big Eggy.
What do you mean?
I have no idea.
The original Exeggutor attack.
Oh, you're talking about
Big Explosion.
Dude, I played that deck.
I love that deck.
I loved that deck. As a kid, that was like my number one deck when I was playing League. I loved that deck.
Hence my pet name, Big Eggy, for it.
Shiinotic has the ability Relaxing Light. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may use this ability. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. This is basically the same thing as the Fluffy Pillow Mareep from Lost Thunder, but it's on a stage 1.
And it's on stage 1.
It
doesn't combine as easily, but technically it's a wombo combo with Jinx, right?
Sure.
There's a lot of stuff that's a wombo combo with Jinx that is better than that.
You know what's better in that and Hypnotoxic Laser. Anyway.
Yeah, but that's for Eternal. I'm talking about Standard.
Hypnotoxic Lasers for Standard.
No.
Or no. I'm
Dangerous Laser, which is not asleep. Genetic also has the attack Spiral Rush, which is 60 damage. You flip a coin until you get tails, and you do 30 more for each head. So you're gonna do 60 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least that's my luck. Delmise has the attack Rescue Anchor. Put up to 2 Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand. And then for Grass, Colorless has Destructive Rage, which does 80 damage. Before doing damage, discard all Pokemon tools from your opponent's active Pokemon.
It feels like a tech for something that's not in format right now.
Honestly, it doesn't feel like a tech at all. It just feels like a bad card, which sucks because I like Delmise, and this art is nice. I like Delmise. I think Delmise is cool, and the art is cool, but the card is bad, unfortunately.
Is it literally just like a ship wheel on an anchor?
No, it's the seaweed.
That's the seaweed is the actual Pokemon.
Yeah.
Okay.
The wheel is kind of like the thing he carries around.
Yeah. Up next is Zarude from Paradise Dragona. Zarude has the attack Leaf Drain. Does 20 damage and heals 20 damage from this Pokemon. And then Jungle Whip, which is vaguely interesting. Jungle Whip says 80 plus damage. You may put all energy attached to this Pokemon into your hand. If you do, this attack does 80 more damage.
160.
Why is that interesting?
Because it's vaguely interesting. 160 on a single prize Pokemon that's not that hard to power up.
I feel like we said that about the Deoxys too, and where's the Deoxys?
I mean, it saw a tiny amount of play. Briefly.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his HP?
120.
I think it's literally like just.
So what? 3, 4, 5?
Is it the same card as the Deoxys, just grass? Is the first attack the same too?
I don't think so.
Because I think it's very similar.
You're not even gonna put the list?
It moves the energy and then the Side Punch. This does more damage.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, more base damage for Side Punch. Genome Spiral does less damage. The problem with Deoxys isn't the Deoxys itself, it's the fact that the rest of the deck's up.
Yeah.
So, like...
Because it was in the Mewtwo deck, right?
If the Cherrim were still in Standard, this might actually be okay. 160 is not a bad number to hit for a Pokemon that's not that hard to power up.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But you have to go powered up. These guys are from Stellar Starter sets. We've been talking about those for a while now. Not the best stuff, but it's okay. We'll probably talk about the Sylveon and the Ceruledge when we get to them though. Cast Form Sunny Form has the attack Singe. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. And then for Fire Colorless, we have Sunny Assist. You do 50 damage and move all energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. This is very much a filler Pokemon, unfortunately.
The only good thing about that card is that it's free to treat.
Yeah, which means that when you get to pre-releases, if you pull those cards, it's probably worth putting in your decks. And I think it's a common, right? Yeah, it's a common. So your likelihood of pulling it's actually pretty decent. And then we have Pansear, which evolves into Simisear, both of which are not very good. Simisear just does 2 coin flips for 70 times, which is not much. This is from Stellar Starter Sets, but we'll go ahead and talk about it anyway. Ceruledge EX has Abyssal Flame, which does 30 plus damage. This attack does 20 more damage for each energy card in your discard pile. And then Amethyst Rage does 280 damage. Discard all energy from this Pokemon.
So it's just energy, right? Not just fire or stuff for Abyssal.
For Abyssal Flame?
Yeah.
It just says for each energy card.
If it was a 30.
30 plus, this does a...
So it's 30 plus 20 times, basically.
Maybe it was just the 30 multiplier. Maybe.
If it were a 30 multiplier, I think it would be a lot better. 20 times does feel crap. And you can't really discard enough for that to be worth it, I think.
No.
Not fast enough, at least. Because what would you need?
You'd have to commit so much of your deck to just the energy.
You'd need like over 20 in a discard, right? Or no, 10.
You would need
10,
10,
20
at least.
You would probably need closer to
230?
15.
You know what I honestly just hate? Is that like we were really hyped to see Ceruledge get an EX, and this is what we got.
And this is what we got, yeah.
Especially me. It's literally my favorite Paldean Pokemon.
Like, it's not mine, but another one of my palette favorite, like my favorites got a crap EX too, so it's unfortunate.
Watch
Gouging Fire. Oh, if there ever exists. Gouging Fire has Lunge Out for a single fire energy, does 30 damage. And then for double fire colorless has Blazing Support, does 100 plus damage, and it says if your opponent has 4 or fewer prize cards remaining, this attack does 70 more damage.
4 or fewer.
I just don't feel like that's relevant.
Hold on. What does it do finally? What's this? 170?
Yeah,
170 for 3 damage.
Charizard, and then trigger it easy with Dusknoir?
You could force it, and it's a single prizer. Maybe Charizard wants it, but like
you
Radiant,
could probably
maybe after Radiant Charizard goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Like, it's not awful. It's just kind of one of those cards where it's like,
pretty.
do you really need it?
And also, it's committing 3 out of your 6 energy to this.
Yeah,
one
it
single
is
prize.
asking for a lot. I mean, you may have to increase the amount of energy, but even then, like, it is only 170. Radiant Charizard's definitely doing more damage, so
Yeah,
it doesn't fulfill quite the same niche.
and it really only like this is a mid game versus Radiant Charizard being late game, so that pretty much kind of blends.
This is the
into
kind of
each other
Pokemon.
anyway.
This is the kind of Pokemon you throw out to mess up the price trade.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Cryogonal. For a water energy, you have Call Sign. Search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And Ice Beam, also for a single water energy, 30 damage. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Unfortunately,
we didn't know we needed.
It's bulk.
Hey, it's going in your folder though.
Cryogonal. What was that?
It's going in your folder though.
It is going in my folder because I have a Cryogonal collection, but it's not good.
Woo!
One of the better cards from this set. Black Kyurem EX.
Isn't this our first like Black Kyurem in like quite a while?
It's been a minute, yeah.
So this does beg the question, since in the original line of A-Specs, Black, I think it was called Crystal Wall, there was a Crystal Wall A-Spec for Black Kyurem that increases base HP to 300. So I wonder if Black Kyurem and White Kyurem will get A-Specs again with this line.
You want to know what's
I
funny?
feel like they would have gotten them in Paradise Dragona.
You know
It's
what's
possible, but we also haven't seen a White Kyurem X yet. So
you know what's
I don't think we're
you know
going
what's funny with the Crystal Wall? So you remember when pre-releases used to be where you pick the packs out of the box and you didn't get like what you get nowadays?
Mm-hmm.
So the 6 packs that I picked had both Black Kyurem EX and Crystal Wall.
That's nice.
So I really land a 300 HP Black Kyurem in pre-release.
So just to clarify, Paradise Dragona is fully revealed, right? Like,
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So they did intentionally go maybe with dragons that might be usually in a duo, but just picking one of them out.
To me, I think it's just that they picked a bunch of dragons.
Because Latias, we don't have a Latios X, right?
No, we got a normal.
A little one, yeah. And then we're gonna get Reshiram,
Probably next
not
set.
White Kyurem, I guess, but Reshiram
in
the end
Scarlet
set.
Violet 9, yeah.
So he's getting some love too. So.
But Black Kyurem has the attack Ice Age for 3 colorless energy. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a dragon Pokemon, it is now paralyzed. And then for water, colorless Black Frost does 250 damage. This Pokemon also does 30 damage.
That is actually a very typical black. Well, that's not only just like a Kyurem, like Black Kyurem specific attack. It's also a Zekrom's specific attack. Zekrom's always usually had like that very big high number, but self damage. As whereas Reshiram and White Kyurem have always had that big number, but you just like discard it energy.
Yeah.
Our production staff over
I
here
don't know.
is throwing stuff around.
That's normal for him.
It's cards like these that make me wonder if they'll reprint something like Aqua Patch, just because of such a high energy cost, and then Puppy is going to rotate, and then they won't have like any sort of acceleration really.
Yeah, Excalibur.
So I think that the most relevant thing here.
But we all know how Bex is doing nowadays.
Yeah, but that's just
I think,
what it is.
I think,
now.
I think creatures is more concerned like
How
they
they
design the game.
too.
Yeah.
Next rotation.
So
So
it's like creatures is
Always keep our-
how they design the game. So in their
Right.
heads, they've designed.
Huh?
Armin's not good enough. For
One
that.
at a time, please.
Go ahead.
Question you're saying?
So I was saying that Excalibur was designed. Was like, okay, cool. We have a water engine. Whether it's doing great right now or not, I'm not sure that they're too concerned with it. But that in their mindset, I think it's like, okay, cool. There's a water engine here. This will serve that purpose. As far as Black Kyurem himself, that first attack, anytime that you can have even a conditional auto paralyzation, there's something there.
I mean, auto paralysis is good, but it's only against dragons.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting card. I just don't know necessarily that you'd play it over Chin Pao.
And the problem also with auto paralyzation is that there are other ways of switching out, but maybe we can stop using switches and decks and then.
Paralysis is fine. Bruxish.
Ooh,
What? What's wrong with Bruxish?
everything.
Where do I start?
Have you looked at it?
I have. I actually like Bruxish because it was one of the very first TCG cards I actually played in the deck when I came back with TCG.
Is it really?
I'm so sorry. for
Cinnamon,
you.
yeah.
I am so annoyed with Bruxish. Just like I remember it being originally revealed, and I thought that it was a parody. Like they were intentionally making it look ugly.
You know what the word Bruxish means, right?
No.
Okay. We'll have to look it up for you later.
Okay.
I don't know what it means.
So the ability counterattack quills. This is an ability we've seen all over the place. It's like the 5th or 6th time we've seen this ability. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if this Pokemon is knocked out, put 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. And then for watercolorless Big Bite, does 50 damage. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon cannot retreat.
Isn't that ability on the yellow on Sand/GX?
I don't think so, but it's on like a Cacnea or something.
There's
Because I remember the Alolan Sand Slash has something similar to that because that's what we were running as one of the raid bosses.
Yeah. And then we have Quaquaval. The ability is up tempo. Once during your turn, you may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand.
You realize that he's gonna pair that with Claydol and Eternal.
Why would you play it with Claydol? Just play Claydol.
Because it's him.
Speaking of Claydol, though, this is very similar to Claydol. Claydol has a Pokemon, or Pokepower rather, that does the same thing, but it does 2 cards at the bottom and drawing until 6 instead of 1 and 5. But ultimately, they are very similar effects, and I still think even this is pretty decent.
Really? Even as a stage 2?
I think a stage 2 makes it a much harder choice. I think we're gonna. It probably won't see play in standard at least until we get a decent Quaxwell.
How many Pokemon does Kingdra do?
3.
Isn't
it just 2?
It's 3.
3.
Put
this
water.
backs an attacker. I don't know. Maybe.
There's some 2 backs.
I would. I would do like
Backs to the future.
It's as somebody that would actually play Quaquaval X, which I would be like, cool. Now I have a draw engine
that.
built into
Would
it.
you do?
I don't have it built anymore.
Lies.
But it seems like a lot of the cool abilities have been in very high stage 2s, and they just never get there. So.
Can we just talk about how adorable Citadel looks, and then like how terrifying Cetitan looks in the art between the two?
Citadel has that head empty face.
Head empty, no thoughts.
And then Cetitan is like murder all of you face.
I've been looking for Herba Mystica in the game, and I cannot find Cetitans.
Cetitan has the ability Sturdy Body, which takes 30 less damage from attacks. Then has Dangerous Mouth that does 150.
What'd that mouth do?
Oh, God.
So it's basically a 210 HP stage 1.
How much damage does it do? 150?
150 for 4 energy.
There's just
That
better
is-
Titans too.
There are
That
better
is
Cetitans.
way
And this
too
is actually
high.
not from Paradise Dragona, but we also don't have a whole thing. So then we have Smoochum. Smoochum's
Smoochum's
next.
actually interesting.
Is Smoochum? This is the first Smoochum in forever too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Smoochum has the attack Happy Kiss. Search your deck for up to 2 basic psychic energy cards and attach them to one of your bench Pokemon. Then shuffle your deck.
Those cowards should have given the babies a sweet sleeping face.
Like I honestly think like they're purposely like redoing the babies.
I mean, they've been kind of doing this
Is that
for a
the
while.
last one they haven't done?
The
No,
babies.
they,
no.
haven't done the Zero.
Cleffa's been,
And Pichu too, right?
yeah, like over and
Oh,
over again.
Pichu
Yeah.
hasn't
So-
done.
It's just like
They had the opportunity to do the
What-
funniest thing with Pichu.
I think it's primarily what like the Gen 4 babies that like they released in Gen 4 but never like put them back in.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
The problem with the babies is
They
that
never did Bonsai, did they? Or have they done
No,
Bonsai?
we
There was a-
we
That's
got
right. That's right. They did.
Because-
because we got Bonsley and the Mantine were the first ones in like 16 years.
so the problem with the babies is that they essentially just gave up on trying to create the mechanic of them evolving into their basics.
See, this is why in my own fan set, the babies are just basics.
And then you made the other
Like
ones
Pikachu's
base
stage
ones.
1.
I mean,
They would never do that.
I feel like they did it right. What was it, Gen 3 or Gen 4, where they had the ability to allow them to evolve into a basic?
Yeah.
Gen 4.
It was something
Yeah, I think that was the best
Because-
way to go about it. Make them both basics, but give them the ability to
Because
evolve into a basic.
Gen
Point is, I
like
think
if we're
this-
talking about like the
this makes
cards, the Delta era had like the had different attacks and stuff because it was their different type ones.
Up next is Latias EX.
Never heard of it.
Latias EX has the ability Skyline. Your basic Pokemon have no retreat costs.
Was it with you guys that I was talking about Skyline?
Probably.
Yeah.
It also has the attack Eon Blade for double second colorless, which does 200 damage, and during your next turn, rather, this Pokemon can't attack. So I think the free retreat effect on this is pretty good.
I think this is the best card in the set. Or at least best Pokemon in the set, I should say.
It's a pretty good one. I think it's either this or Archaludon.
I don't think
So
it's a
let's
competition.
think about like how much that gives. Like it gives Iron Hands free retreat.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, Future Booster was already doing that anyway.
Sure.
Yeah, but this means that like you can like do the like you can actually play this in Miraidon and not have to do Future Booster.
Future Booster.
I mean,
You can-
like actual Miraidon.
You can
not
play
Future
the heavy
Box.
baton on it.
That would
instead.
be good in Miraidon.
Yeah, that's pretty potent. Latios also exists. It has an attack called Skill Dive for Psychic Colorless. This set does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then it has Jet Headbutt that does 110 for Psychic Colorless. It's not very good, unfortunately.
But my Jet Headbutt.
We
only
will
gets
briefly
this
look
one.
at Sylveon EX from the Stellar Starter sets. For Psychic Double Colorless, we have the attack Magical Charm. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon's attacks do 100 less damage, before applying weakness and resistance. And then it has the attack Angelite for Water, Lightning, Psychic. Choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. They shuffle those Pokemon and all attached cards into their deck. If one of your Pokemon used Angelite during your last turn, this attack cannot be used.
So, this kind of attack, I feel like it might just not be that useful when you have so much flexibility to recover. Maybe in a different format.
So it's been seeing some success in Japan already. Yeah. So I do think it might have some.
Is this the answer to Dragon Ball in Eternal?
No.
No, we already have the answer to Dragon Ball. It's called Black Kyurem X.
No, it's called banning it.
It's called the ban list.
The ban list. I think it's fun. I want to see it succeed. I just don't know mentally how I can do that yet.
Yeah. So okay. So like I said, I think it's definitely something to try out. Now you mentioned that it's been seeing some success.
It has seen some success.
What exactly, like, what's its skeleton around it?
See, I haven't been looking that deep into it, so I don't know yet.
I'm very curious to see.
I just have seen what's been placing.
Well, what would be the best thing to do? Like, that's going to take too long.
I don't think you probably aren't building around an Angelite. I think you're probably building around a Magical Charm. Because 100 less damage is a large reduction.
I mean, yeah.
You have similar HP to Hisuian and Goodra. You're doing 160 damage, which is not bad. You have Psychic.
But let me ask you this then: why not just play Hisuian and Goodra Vista?
Because
for one, Hisuian and Goodra Vista is going to rotate shortly after this comes out. But two, like Eevee could get this out turn 1.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because remember the new.
We'll look at Eevee when we get to it, but this can come out turn 1.
And so it's a lot easier to set up. So essentially, it's a nerfed Goodra V-Star that can be faster.
It's faster. Yeah.
And it's a Terra that has access to obviously Crystal.
It's also minus 100 instead of minus 80.
I can't reach.
I mean, yeah, it's another 20, but it also does less damage. So that's why it's like
yeah, but 160 is still good. You're still 2-shotting.
Yeah, you're right. You don't really need to 2-shot 400.
Up next is Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele has the attack Perplex for double colorless. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. And then Mental Crash for psychic double colorless does 90 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is confused, this attack does 90 more damage. So 160 for 3 on a Pokemon. It's pretty easy to power up.
160 for 3, but he has to be confused. Dangerous Laser
confuses?
Sorry,
did I say 160? 180. 180 for 3.
Okay. Well, 160 considering if you're powering it up with a DT.
Yeah, mental math, sure, but like you could do. There are other ways to power it up, like
Guardy,
or Xatu. Yeah.
Because Xatu would also act as a card draw.
I hate Xatu so much. I feel
it's
like
very inconsistent.
Yeah, it's so bad.
The version of Slowking with it was even worse than the barrel version. They were both bad.
Like I on paper it was such a good like, hey, it's an energy accelerator and a dark, but you can never get the stupid energy when you need it.
That's what Earth and Vessel's for.
Yeah, it wasn't enough. So Tapu Lele is just an interesting card. I don't know how good it is out of the gate. It's gonna be one of those cards that Guardy could use, but probably never will.
I think he still just used Monkey Door in the.
Up next, we have Espathra. Espathra has the attack Mystic Eye. Devolve one of your opponent's evolved Pokemon by putting a highest stage evolution card on it into your opponent's hand. It also has Spiral Drain, Psychic Colorless. It does 60 damage and then heals 60 damage. Or heal 30, sorry. This is just bad.
Sorry, I heard Espathra and my mind wandered off.
It's just bad. Like, Mystic Eye is a worse version of Technical Machine Devolution.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Because, like, honestly, at that point, you might as well just honestly run the de-evolution ray for Aerodactyl from 151,
right.
where it also deals
what's the retreat
damage.
cost on this Gimmighoul?
2.
Damn.
Yeah,
because you realize that's pretty much we haven't had a 1 retreat 70 HP Gimmighoul.
Yeah, so this Gimmighoul has 2 retreat cost, 70 HP, unfortunately. This is probably not the one you're running. It has Minor Errand running. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle your deck. And then Tackle for 50 damage for 3 energy. It's not that good. Trapinch does have Call for Family.
Mm-hmm.
Search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench and shuffle your deck. Bite for Fighting Colorless. It evolves into Virava, which has Screech for 1 colorless energy. During our next turn, the defending Pokemon takes 50 more damage from attacks after applying weakness and resistance. And then Fighting Colorless gets you Cutting Wind, and that does 50 damage. But the only reason you're playing those guys ever is for Flygon EX. Flygon EX has the attack Stormbat for fighting. It does 130 damage. You may switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. And then Water Fighting Metal, Psychic Peridot. This attack does 100 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon V. This attack is not affected by weakness or resistance.
Sorry, 120?
The first attack is 130.
Sorry, with the second attack, sorry.
It does 100 damage to each Pokemon EX and Pokemon V in play.
I think that card is interesting, not for the second attack, but for the first attack.
The first attack, the pivot.
The pivot?
Because if anyone remembers the Plasma Donphan with Spinning Turn, I mean, yeah, we don't have like the strong energy in the format or anything like that. But like we have so much stuff that you can just throw in the active, like Fluttermane, Klefki, Mimikyu, Snorlax. Like that's crazy that you can just have that strong of a hit on a pivot. It's
also stage 2 though. Donphan was a stage 1.
Yeah, that you can Sparkling Crystal and attack for free with.
Still.
Yeah,
imagine a Karina replay.
So I think literally I'm split between exactly because you're right. It's a stage 2. It's slow, but powering it up is easy. It's I wouldn't waste a crystal on it. I just put a fighting energy on it, right? It's one fighting.
One fighting.
And honestly, yeah, a strong pivot attack. It's really kind of hard to find. Yeah. So. I think Donphan has almost always had that, right? Like the big Donphans had pivot attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that I'm talking about was like a single fighting, does 40 damage, 60 with the strong energy. To be fair, it was in a format with Focus Sash too, which
Focus Sash
is also what made it
big.
kind of insane.
To be fair, dude, we do have BDSM gear.
We do have BDSM gear. What did the Donphan switch into?
You guys realize it's not his actual name. I'm just pointing that out.
It's everyone knows what we mean
when it's
survival
brace. That's what it is. It looks like BDSM. Okay.
Okay, so I want to try it just like I want to try Greninja, but by the way, Greninja now. Honestly, Greninja now with Dust Storm, I feel like we should revisit that. Just saying.
I think Flygon is one of those cards that might be interesting in a future kind of card. I don't know. What do you think?
My biggest thing is that I think its first attack's pretty good. Its second attack is just not great, especially in a format with Terra X's that block that damage that it does when they're on the bench.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also let me put it to you this way. I played Quaquaval, which is essentially which is essentially this with a lot less output. This is Quaquaval with better output.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Quaquaval had Irida. This doesn't.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think. Even in Eternal, I don't think this would work very well. And that's with a format where you could put like Lily's Pokédoll in the active.
I mean, in Eternal, it has Karina and it has Focus Sash.
It does, but still.
And strong energy.
Giant Tree.
Giant Tree too.
Because you don't need the crystal for this. Just like I said, just dash and energy. Like I said, I loved playing Quaquaval because the frustrating part for all my opponents was just throw either a Klefki or a Mimikyu out in the active because it's gonna mess up your opponents. In this case, now I guess you could throw out Iron Thorns also if it.
You just throw up whatever you need for that specific matchup.
Oh my God, Iron Thorns! Well, it already
you could do
has
Iron Thorns, Klefki, Fluttermane, Mimikyu.
Wait, why are we throwing Iron Thorns in the active? Oh, the EX.
It hits Evolution.
Yeah.
Klefki won't.
Right.
Also, again, free retreat. We're talking about it right now, but yeah.
And there's enough stuff that can help pivot any of those out of the. Hell, you could put Snorlax in the active if you want.
You play the Latias to make sure anything that you throw out essentially has free retreat back.
Yeah, I mean it's vaguely interesting for sure.
I think it's. I might try and build that.
Drillbur and Excadrill also exists. I'm sorry, I don't like these Pokemon. You have Digging Claw, just 20 damage. Discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Fighting Colors is Drill Smash, 60 plus damage. If you have any metal Pokemon, this attack does 80 more damage. So you're doing 140 for 2 energy. It may be in a smaller format.
You heard it here exclusively. Justin Basil does not like Gen 5.
There are some Gen 5 Pokemon I like.
Like
he said
he
did say Flygon.
Yes, he did. We do know that. Yeah.
Like we've already established.
Someone
that.
update the Justin Basil wiki.
No,
Do you have a wiki?
Of course not.
That'd be awesome if you did that.
Landorus.
Yeah.
So Landorus has the attack Fist of Focus, which does 30 damage. Attach an energy card from your discard pile of this Pokemon. And then for fighting triple colorless,
Jeez.
Buster Swing does 130 damage and is not affected by
Buster
or by
Swing.
resistance.
I barely know her.
So again, big basic Pokemon. You're like, cool. Splashable to something else. Everything starts out like, okay, decent, and then so what's our end game here?
Garrison one.
4 energies for 130.
It's just not good. It's just not good.
They don't have to make
And
it.
it's a hollow.
It only accelerates to itself, right?
It's a hollow too.
It
Yes, only to itself.
only to itself. Okay.
Passimian has the attack coordinated throw. For fighting colorless, does 20 times damage. This attack does 20 damage for each of your basic Pokemon in play.
20 damage. Hey, that sounds familiar. For each of your basics?
For each of your basics.
Yeah.
It's not good. It might be one of those cards that sees like a niche.
Yeah, because even with Area 0, it only
Stop eating
does
it.
160.
No.
Right? No, it counts itself, so
No.
180.
Like, I could see this being paired up with like, if we ever had counter energy back, or even with counter gain.
Could you
Attach,
imagine
attach.
counter energy and standard?
I would love it so much.
They would have to write it to say rule box.
I think they would have to also, but it's
But-
still.
Or just print a new card.
Just change the wording to what it should be in the first place. And then Grapplocked has Chop and 40 does 40 damage. And then for fighting colorless has Tentacle Rage, which is 130. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack can be used for a single fighting energy. I think it's bad too. It can't even knock out another Grapplocked with that damage. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Skarmory exists. It, for metal colorless, does 50 damage. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks after applying weakness and resistance. It's just not good. It doesn't even have free retreat. Like, why? Give it something.
Because you need bad cards to make the other cards look better.
That's dumb.
Yeah, really don't. And then speaking of bad cards, Klefki has an attack called Insert Draw. Discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards, and then hook does 20 damage.
Insert
Again,
card or
not
select
good.
payment type.
Duraludon has for metal Confront, which is 50 damage. Then for 3 metal, you have Durabeam, which is 130. And you discard 2 energy. But that evolves up into Archaludon EX, which has the ability Alloy Build. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may attach up to 2 basic metal energy from your discard pile to your metal Pokemon in any way you like. Then for metal, it does 220 damage. And during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon has no weakness.
Okay. Again, great ability, but is it worth it?
Probably not, but 300 HP is not bad.
It is just
We
stage
said that
one,
about
right?
Copper
It is a stage
too.
1.
And it accelerates something else. So again, an emergency accelerator for Dialga?
Does Archaludon just push Copperajah out of the format and expand an internal?
Maybe. I think it's better in a format where Devo Spray exists.
Eternal.
So if they were to I don't know if they would for standard, but if they were to reprint Devo Spray, I think that card could see a lot more.
I mean, we also have Scoop.
We have Scoop Up Cyclone,
Yeah.
Turo Scenario, and stuff.
Yeah, but those are your supporters.
Yeah, like,
And
in
your
other
ace
words,
back.
they've been very careful to like not give us something that just immediately reuse all over again. But honestly, is that what are we combining it with? Is really because it itself is not that great.
You combine it with
I said
The
that-
attack-
Damazenta.
The attack is 220 and it can't attack.
I want to try it in Scizor because I was trying
No,
to. I was
it's-
playing Scizor.
It's 220, and then during your opponent's next turn, it has no weakness. So it loses its fire weakness the next turn.
Oh, yeah,
and-
the fire weakness that exists in
Yeah,
standard.
and also what I was thinking about, like, isn't just Metal Maker just so much better for the metal decks anyway?
I mean, I think it's its own thing. It's just making it so it doesn't have to rely on Metang.
I would play like a 1/1 in something that I'm already doing Metal Maker with, and use it as like, okay, here's my
Did you
emergency
catch it
out.
from the discard pile?
Yeah.
Yes, from discard.
So in other words, to
Maybe.
reuse something you already did, it's like, okay, cool. I didn't hit Metal Maker. I have my backup.
And this allows you can have, because of branching evolution, you can also use the Archaludon that just released from Stellar Crown that gives you free retreat.
Oh, that anything with metal energy, right?
So that would also be pretty good.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I can see usability for it, but
Is
not a
that-
deck around it.
Is that the only? Is there another Duraludon in standard?
I'm not sure.
Well, I guess there would be one. With
The other, well, that's true. With the one that just came out. Oh, it's not even here yet. It's not out yet. Let's see here. Yeah, it's this one.
Is that one better?
Do we have any?
Hammer in for 30, Raging Hammer 80 plus versus Metal.
Do we have any dragon ones that's not the beak?
I think this one's probably better.
Yeah.
Just because you get the 30 damage in easier. What's that?
Do we have any dragon type Duraludons, like baby?
What's the difference on retreat? Or are they the same?
2 and 2.
Okay, so yeah, that one's just subjectively better.
Yeah, I think it is. And they're both 130 HP, so there's not really a difference there either.
It's pretty high for an evolving basic.
Because I guess it wasn't originally meant to be. It was just.
I don't know.
What, the 300 HP?
130 on the evolving basic.
It's one of those like cool. It got a new one, but
Yeah.
it was not. It was
Cheese stick.
Up next is Goldango. It has the attack Rich Strike, which is 30 plus damage. If the Pokemon evolved from the Gimmighoul during this turn, this attack does 9 damage. Man, I struggled with that one. It's Raid. It's Raid. Let's just call it Raid. It's not Rich Strike. It's just Raid.
It'd be rich if you played that card.
Right. And then for 3 colorless energy, does Surf Return. Does 100 damage. You may shuffle this Pokemon and all attached cards into your deck.
But why would you do that?
Because it's a hidden, like again, hidden go hide deck.
Yeah.
Unless it has
Max.
paralyzed like Exeggutor, then there's no point.
Then you have Iron Crown, which has the attack Deleting Slash. Deleting Slash does 40 plus damage. If your opponent has 3 or more bench Pokemon, this attack does 80 more damage.
That I like.
This
Yeah,
card's
it's only
actually pretty
120.
cool.
Like, honestly, that first attack is actually, like,
Yeah.
kind of actually good.
This
And
card
then-
is actually decent for
It's
future.
it's only 120 though, guys. Like I'm.
It is only
Have
120.
you heard of Iron Crown before?
Never heard
Iron
of it.
Crown EX.
Never heard of it.
That hits
Or Future
220 with
Booster.
all the buffs.
Yeah.
With 4 Iron Crown EX targets on the freaking field.
You
Well,
can
that's what
throw
you're
a
trying
Future
to do
Booster
with the
capsule.
deck.
So it is a new attacker essentially for Future Box,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
It's
they
just
have
not-
the
it's just not. Again,
they have the Iron Tread, so you can throw in the metal.
the original problem with Future Box is that the output wasn't there. So I just don't see that this changes it.
Mm-hmm.
I wish. Trust me. I love the concept of Future Box. It's not.
How
There.
much health does it have?
130.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a good card.
It has 2 retreat costs for the record.
It doesn't matter. Future Box does not care.
Alolan Exeggutor EX.
Yeah.
For Grass Water has the attack Tropical Fever. Tropical Fever does 150 damage. Attach any number of basic energy cards from your hand to your Pokemon in any way you like.
It's actually really fun and, like, if you do a lot of,
Hey, look at that.
It's
look
Dragon
Look at that
2?
Zarude support right there.
it's Dragon 2?
Look at that Zarude support right there. That's being
You're
stupid.
telling me I can use this in Reggie Drago?
Shut up. And then for Grass Water Fighting, you have Swinging Sphere. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active basic Pokemon is knocked out. If tails, choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That Pokemon is knocked out.
What if they don't have a bench?
Is Sphene a
Then
gem?
It's
'Cause,
a
like, they're all,
rock of
like,
some
gem,
sort. It's like a
right?
rock of some sort.
Wait,
never
the bench doesn't need to be
seen-
basic.
Interesting.
Boy,
Hmm.
imagine this Reggie Drago Eternal with Will.
Sorry. Just to clarify it again, because I remember there was there was very specific one that made it not that great. Like there was one supposed to be a basics or something like that.
That'd be the answer to Dragon Ball.
Oh, it is basic.
Active basic, bench basic.
No, it's basic. It's
Okay.
basic.
So in
Basic
other words,
anyway.
anything that's not a basic does not get
It's
knocked
not a
out.
target. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's say for example, if you're running a deck where nothing is a basic anymore, it's a useless attack.
It's useless. You just have to use Tropical Fever over and over again.
Yeah.
It's a.
I mean, in Eternal, you have Double Dragon. You could Tropical Fever and then hope you're still running basic energy in your
150,
deck.
right?
Yeah.
It's 150, 160. Can't say.
150.
150 accelerate from hand. Ugh. And then
hand, yeah.
obviously we have an ace spec that's meant to be played with.
It's very much meant to be played with. But here's the thing. I think Earthen Vessel will probably just be better.
Yeah, just
Earthen Vessel, even Crispin, add another one.
Mm-hmm.
What are we accelerating to?
You're accelerating to Zarude, man. Zarude's your guy.
Dialga V-Star.
Hey, somebody look up OV.
No.
Hold on. Hear me out.
Someone look
Because Ho usually has the attacks that really benefit from this kind of stuff.
Somebody look up
You're stretching.
What does it say?
Rainbow Burn does 30 more damage for each type of basic energy attached to this Pokemon.
Hey!
You just run that bad. You run the bad A spec. You run a bad stage 1.
And a bad base attack.
What is that? What is that cap at?
Hey, you know what else
In
that's very
standard?
important on this card?
Are there 8 different energies?
It's weak to
8,
lightning.
so yeah.
It kept
340?
340. I mean, 340 is a good number to
No,
hit.
but you know the issue with this card though? It's
It's
weak to lightning.
it's
So it gets amp you
It
very
gets
much.
clapped by amp.
Yeah, quite literally. It
Oh
turns
wow, 240. Yeah. It's because amp is 120, right?
Yeah.
yeah, and that the Dunsparce rotated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stinks.
Because the Dunsparce is what made Lugia so protected.
Up next is Altaria. Altaria has a humming charge. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Then shuffle your deck. And then Cotton Wings for water and metal. Flip a coin if heads during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. That does 100 damage, by the way. I don't have that there, but it does 100 damage. Sure. Dialga has time control. Search your deck for 2 cards. Shuffle your deck and put those on top of it in
Add
any
those
order.
2 cards to your opponent's prize cards.
Please, yeah.
Then Buster Tail does 160 damage for 3 energy. Palkia has Space Crush, which does 40 times damage. This attack does 40 damage for each basic energy attached to this Pokemon.
I hope Dialga's a
People were excited for this card for some reason.
Why did they make the Palkia and Dialga just both so bad? Just give them good.
The Dialga
cards.
is like
Jeez.
almost. It's like the Dialga is reaching for something good, and then
Did you just say Dialga?
Yeah,
Dialga.
did you say Dialga?
the Dialga was reaching for something good, and they just told it, "No, we're putting it at the top of the deck
You
and
know,
end your turn."
I'm still gonna say it. I know I've said it before. I'm still salty that there is still not a single Dialga card that knows Roar of Time.
I would also like to point out, I
There's a dark.
Do
Ride
not
that
like
has a
the art.
dark
It
ride.
has Roar of Time and
And
Special
Space
Rare.
Rand, yeah.
like. Am I alone in that?
What's
I do not like the art for this card.
I can't tell what it is from
I'm
here.
still gonna need a normal.
I think it's
and a
very
reverse.
busy.
I still need a
I
normal
can't
and a
make out
reverse.
its face.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm not.
It's
I don't
very
hate
busy.
it, but like
The
I
Palkia
need
one's
to see it
fine.
closely.
Yeah, Palkia's is fine.
Palkia's stands up actually.
Turtonator. Burn to a crisp for fire energy. Discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon EX.
That's it.
That's all it does. And then for fire double colorless, Steaming Stomp does 100 damage.
That's it.
And he has a 3 retreat cost. And only 120 HP.
This is what the Palkia looks like.
This Applin could be another contender if you want to run Applin in Eternal. You have Nutrients that heals 30 damage. And a Trip Over for Grass Fire. Does 20 plus damage, and you flip a coin. If heads, you do 30 more. You also have both Flapple and Appleton. Flapple has Sour Spit. This attack does 20 times damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. And Speed Dive does 70 damage.
Wait, hold on. It does
Did
20.
you say Speed Dive or
Hold on,
Speed
hold on.
Dad?
Dive.
Hold on. 20 more damage for each damage counter on your
Yeah,
opponent.
That's a solid card in Festival Lead is all I'm saying.
In Festival League, maybe, sure.
Because like if you're whiffing a KO on Do the Wave, Such a solid backup attacker option to finish it off.
Appleton has Sweet Melt, which does 50 damage. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't attack. Then you have Wild Tackle, which is 130 damage. This Pokemon also does 20 damage to itself.
Wait, can I see the art?
This is the derpiest. This is the derpiest Appleton has ever looked.
You guys realize his face is
He's so
like his
awesome.
eyes are open and it's freaking me out.
Yeah.
It's like
I think that's
its head is also like lifted up from the flying.
It looks like a Yoshi almost. That's like surprised.
I don't like to see Appleton like that. It looks too much like Flapple.
Yeah. Up next is a very good card for this set.
Yippee!
Eebly.
FLC 10%.
Ability. Boosted Evolution. If this Pokemon is in the active spot, it can evolve during your first turn, or on the turn it was put into play.
Let's go. Light Jolteon.
Reckless Charge does 30 damage and does 10 damage to itself. This card is crazy good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as they start printing more Evolution X's, we're gonna actually see.
This was
Like Jolteon's getting banned, right?
Yeah, it's
just making sure. Just making
there's
sure.
not enough counterpoints for it. We've already established that.
We've already established 2 of the 3 are for
Are
sure 100%.
Two of the three
banned.
being tested for have already been confirmed now.
So as long as it's in the active. So obviously, if you don't start it, you still need to get it into the active.
Which really isn't that hard.
And especially if you're planning on attacking with Sylveon.
No offense, but have you met him?
I'll throw it anyway, but it's fine.
So right now, is that the only relevant evolution to Sylveon X
Sylveon.
that can evolve? Obviously, we have the V.
There are like the babies that are decent-ish.
Wasn't the Umbreon from Obsidian a little bit, or was it the Espeon?
It's really not.
It might make Sylveon control a real deck in 3-4-5 though.
Well, hold on. The baby Sylveon, I feel
Really?
like that was something
Yes,
there also.
finally.
Can you look up the baby Sylveon?
The one from Pokemon Go or
Yeah.
the promo, right?
Is
The,
it
the one from
No.
Pogo, right?
No, there's a newer one, I think.
Could you imagine if with like the China reprints of the Pogo cards, they keep Pogo legal in the next rotation?
That first one, the Scarlet Battle.
Flip a coin. If heads, choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Shuffle that Pokemon. All cards attached to their deck.
Okay, no,
Christ.
No, I don't think it's
because it does the exact same thing as the other one,
No,
but then
but
one chooses,
will-
right?
This is the one. This is Sylveon control in 3-4-5.
If you opponent's active, it's a dragon. This is okay. Search your deck for up to 2 cards. Put them into your hand. Okay.
You just constantly load your hand.
Wait, it does more damage to dragon types. There's our Dragapult counter. There we go.
Jesus.
All right, Braviary has Drag Off. Switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon in the active spot. This attack does 40 damage to new active Pokemon. And then Blasting Wind does 120 damage.
I would like that attack when it does 70, so I can like drag up like Manaphy and stuff like that.
And then the last Pokemon from this set is Cyclizar EX. For triple colorless, it does 130 damage. For Breakthrough, and it does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon.
Bulk.
Don't apply weakness and resistance to bench Pokemon. And then Zircon Road does 180 damage. You may draw 5 cards.
I
Bulk.
may draw 5 cards. I can say no to the 5 cards. We're playing Uno rules. If it had free retreat, maybe, but it doesn't even
has
have
the
that.
one,
So
yeah.
Why does the Cyclosar not have free retreat?
I don't know.
it's literally like so fast. That's like its
Actually,
whole thing.
is the only one that actually has free retreat that one that we were using for?
Yeah.
the one with
briefly.
Baby. The one we
Like that is the only
And
only
Dolphin.
Cyclizar that actually has free retreat, isn't it?
Like they could have made this card so good, and then they just didn't.
They chose violence.
This
Up next,
looks
a
like
card
a
we can all
yippee.
celebrate its return to the standard and well, it's already
I've never
but
played
the
with
standard
this. I
format.
don't know what it is.
Counter Gain returns after having last been in the format in my favorite set of all time, Lost Thunder. If you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, the attacks this Pokemon card is attached to cost 1 colorless less. So all of your something and colorless attacks are now just that something.
Quick question: what's Charizard's attack top?
Double
Too
fire.
Dang.
Oh dang it!
Well,
But-
it depends on which Charizard.
Seeing Counter Gain return to the format is super exciting to me.
It's very
And
refreshing.
Arvin is going to make this so
Arvin
good.
is so ridiculous.
No,
Arvin makes
the
this
fun thing about
so
Arvin
good.
is Arvin's not leaving the format anytime soon because they didn't get the updated regulation.
No.
No,
They didn't get it until the updates.
But counter game, no. Like Arvin, you can get the energy off of Earthen Vessel. You can get the counter game because it's tool card. You literally just slap
How
some
many
down real quick and easy.
how many top tier decks have the colorless one? Because I feel
Reggie
like
Drake,
Iron
yeah.
Hands does have colorless in it, right?
Regidrago's
Gets
attacks
you
aren't
easier to
colorless.
Iron Hands.
Regidrago's.
No, Drago doesn't have colorless.
It has a colorless. in
Does it
deck,
really?
doesn't it?
Yeah,
No,
isn't it?
it's double
It's
grass and
double-
fire.
double-
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought it was
yeah.
Firegrass color.
No,
I'm
it's
pretty
double
sure it
grass
does,
and
'cause
fire.
The whole point is like it's slow. Colorless costs
See,
usually.
I put a
mean
jet
real
energy on
speed.
that every day of the week and try to attack.
No,
Who did do that?
You need to get out of the Zacian V mindset, my guy.
Okay. Back to this though. Counter game, it's good to see it in play. Or good to see it in format. I'm glad. I'm welcoming it back. Even if the deck doesn't necessarily need it now, I'm sure there's something that will make use of it in the future. It's a good card. It will see play.
Palkia is Palkia V water.
Water.
Wait, you put that on a Dartrix United Wings for free? I'm just,
Yeah.
just thinking out loud.
You could also slap it on a Watchel. Do it for 1 energy.
True.
Yeah, it's possible. Dragon's Potion. Heal 60 damage from your active dragon.
Boom. Next.
It needs to heal status.
Dresna.
Moving on.
Shuffle your hand into your deck and flip a coin. If heads, draw 8 cards. If tails, draw 3.
I feel like they're just trying to go through the list of trainers they've missed and make the most awful cards.
I think
This is a
it's
spiritual successor to Professor versus Observations.
I think it said
It
3.
is-
It should have been
it's
4.
Still just as bad and not gonna
So
see
this is literally. I'm with Caleb on this one. It's like, oh, how many trainers have we missed? Let's just put them all on a list, on a pot, draw one, be like, cool. They're getting a new useless supporter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, versus Observations did see play that stay.
Jocelyn never had a card before, right?
Dresna's not had a
Well,
card.
no, Birch was either 7 or 4. This is 8 or 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's better.
It's different.
It's slightly different. I have the
Will it
Fort
see
Birch
play?
and I did
No.
use it. Yeah.
Not with the current dress, but we have in play. We would have to have both Research and INO rotate for this to be reasonably playable.
They might, for all we know.
Honestly, they might just kind of slow down the game and just be like, hey, you're getting crappy supporters. Deal.
Reprint Illima.
Really?
Kurt's so
I'm
bad.
trying to think, like, if everything in Scarlet and Violet supporter wise rotates for draw support, like what do we have? Kofu? Is it really just Kofu?
We have Kofu. There's
Like in terms of reasonably decent draw support.
Atticus. Technically Atticus.
That would rotate at the same time, I think.
Rika.
Atticus was probably in Fates.
Yeah, but
Youngster?
isn't it?
That was
Youngster would rotate at the same time.
first
Okay.
printing.
What about Rika?
Yeah, but it was from a different set.
Because Rika's look at like,
Rika was
top-
Obsidian Flames, I think. So it would rotate. Right, it was Obsidian Flames.
Paradox Rifts.
Paradox Rift.
Okay, so then that would be new regulation then.
Paradox Rift, PAR.
Yeah, Paradox Rift is like the rotation after
It's right out of it.
Violet, right? It'd be Paradox Rift on.
Obsidian, and then I guess because Go
Is
Would
it
it be
actually
Temporal?
right?
yeah,
Wasn't
it
it
was a
Temporal
special
on
set.
actually?
Paradox is before Temporal.
Every time I hear temporal, my brain says
I'm so
temporal.
confused.
Or
Yes,
temporal.
Paradox is still part of the first block.
Oh, really?
Oh, so it would be
That's
Temporal.
so
It would
weird.
rotate too.
That's
That's
so
so-
weird that a whole like future ancient set would rotate.
I wonder if bigger
Hands-
ones.
Iron Hands will rotate.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was intentional, honestly.
Maybe.
What, the Iron Hands?
Well,
Like it's actually
A
make it
lot
part of
support from
the
going away first.
because it's 4 sets per year, right?
That's so.
So-
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how much draw support, like good,
Could-
decent draw support. there
we
would
can
be.
look right on Pokemon cards.
Kenny TCG says, I think I'll like that card too, counter gain, because Terra Pokemon get what right now? Sparkling Crystal?
He's essentially saying that because Terra Pokemon get the crystals, there should be something else to help out
everybody else.
everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And then up next is Drayton. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Pokemon and a trainer card you find there, and put them into your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck.
This is Arvin at home.
This is like Great Ball, but plus.
Great Ball plus.
This is Great Ball with an add-on fee.
Could you imagine if Heyday Lugia had this?
Hey, look, the
Nah,
next
it wouldn't
card
care.
we're gonna look at is also Great Ball.
Except it's an.
Did
ass
this
Great
actually
Ball.
change its? Did this change in its text at all
Nope.
from the Diamond and Pearl, or is it? Because
Same
like when I
effect.
read it, I was like, "Isn't this the exact same text?"
So
Same effect.
it's funny because back then Great Ball did something completely different, and
But
Great
this
Ball
one-
changed.
So what you're saying is, I need to buy reverse Dusk Balls from Diamond and Pearl now.
Probably
Yes.
not, because this probably won't see play.
This is
Oh,
a
you're
card
right.
you would only play after you've been Ionoed.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Okay, this is the card you played when we have 0 Pokemon Search. Like what was it? Our dry spell like last year.
No, it's been longer than that. Yeah, so Dust Ball, you look at top 7 card or bottom 7 cards, and you reveal Pokemon and put it in your hand. It's Great Ball from the bottom of the deck. It's ass. It's not good. I'm sorry. Energy Search Pro. Search your deck for any number of basic energy cards of different types. Reveal them and put them in your hand, and then shuffle your deck.
This is so dumb.
This is one of those cards that's useful for like exactly 2, maybe 3
Of different types.
of different types.
It's just it sounded like a great thing. Be like cool, like maybe limit it to like 7 and just don't put that of different types qualifier.
Yeah,
it's pre-release deck.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's just one. It's just
This one makes me angry because there was potential.
It's an A spec.
There's
That's
potential
what
for a
kills
good.
me.
I'm saying there's a potential for a good ace spec, and they literally like, okay, cool, we made it good. How do we take off 20% of that goodness and make it bad?
How do we make it so it won't break stuff?
and then you
You
kill the
just, you
card.
just you just add that of different types of text.
Mhm.
It's literally gonna be a binder card for those that collect A specs.
It's just... Up next is Helper Bell. You can use this card only if you go second and only on your first turn. Search your deck for a supporter card, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck.
So if your deck depends on having a very specific supporter, you run these for like a battle VIP to make sure you have that specific supporter turn
Yeah.
one.
Because it guarantees you. Or,
I could honestly,
It guarantees you a specific supporter.
I could honestly probably see Raging Bolt trying like 1 or 2 of this.
just to boost his chances of getting it
Yeah.
at once.
It's
It's one of those cards. It's like it's good in idea and as in a theory, but I feel like maybe just other consistency might be better.
Yeah, but we kind of had the same mindset about Battle VIP Pass on your first turn.
No, we didn't. we didn't
Honestly,
even test about that.
like Battle VIP was just we wrote it off. I remember that very specifically. We wrote it off completely until people started playing with it, and they're like, "Oh, wow, this is
MUV, man.
this
It's
is
like,
worth."
The difference is though, Battle VIP could be used by both players going first. This is only the person going second.
Yeah,
So in a lot of games, something like a Pokegear is probably better.
and I was gonna say like it sounds very similar to Pokegear, except Pokegear can be used in the middle of a match. Now, this just
Right.
becomes dead cards.
Which once
afterwards.
again makes Pokegear the better card probably.
yeah.
Lisia's Appeal. Switch in one of your opponent's benched basic Pokemon to the active spot. The new active Pokemon is now confused.
Huh? Explain.
So it's boss orders with extra steps. So it's boss
Search.
orders, but your only available targets are basics. And after they've been gusted, they become confused.
Okay, so I have acquired a list of draw supporters.
Let's hear these draw supporters from
It is Morty's Conviction,
Good God, please tell me.
Carmine,
Okay.
Lacey, Kofu. That
So
is it.
Lacey and Carmine, basically.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of Kofu.
That's what you
I,
got.
That's pretty
I
limited.
can't believe we completely forgot about Carmine.
Especially because he's probably the best of all.
Yeah.
Lacey's probably the second best, though.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Unless you count like Hassel. But Hassel's more of a Raihan sort of card than
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
So again, sounds a qualifying dusting effect. Why do I want it confused?
Because apparently you're not going to be able to knock it out.
Wait, what was the thing? Well, hold on. What was the other thing that said it required to be confused in order to your to do a certain amount of damage or something like that?
The
There was
Tapu
a
Lele.
it was the
It's
Lele.
the Tapu Lele.
Okay, so play with Lele and then do 180 damage to it and not fail to knock it out anyway.
Pretty much, yeah.
Unless it's a Squawk.
Sure.
Or a
Is there
Lumineon.
any other things that require confusion? I know
Not
there's
that I can think
poison.
of.
I have an off-topic question.
What's this off-topic
Do
question?
we think we'll get another Lumineon and V sort of effect?
Probably not right away.
Not the exact effect, but obviously clearly another draw squawkabilly style.
Some sort of support Pokemon.
Yeah.
Set up.
Shut up.
Erica's Velocity.
That's not a basic though.
Oh.
No,
That would
I
be
mean,
six.
Erica's Oddish.
so hold on. We already know that owners Pokemon
Again.
are not gonna follow the whole big basic Pokemon
They
thing.
won't. Yeah, they won't.
So
As we've already seen, they do evolve. Megaton Blower.
This card's funny.
Discard all tool cards and special energy cards attached to each of your opponent's Pokemon, and discard any stadium card in play.
This card would have been insane to play against Ultra Necrozma and Eternal.
I mean, that doesn't stop it from being insane to play against.
This card's awesome.
I know. Like this honestly is very terrifying. If you're playing Ultra Necrozma and
It's
Eternal and
standard,
somebody
though?
plays this,
man,
Because it discards.
I mean, what does it have
special
for targets
energy
in
to.
standard?
exactly. That's
There's
what, that's
there's
what
our
I think.
Dragapult counter right there.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it discards what?
Special energy tools in Stadium.
Meh.
It's okay. I think
And
the
standard
effect,
is pretty much.
the effect is really funny, but like I think that's all it's got to it.
It's an item, right? Obviously, it's an spec, but it's an item.
It's an item.
Maybe to counter all these Area Zero stuff. But again, why aren't you just looking
Just
for Lost
Lost
Vacuum?
Vacuum.
Well, Lost Vacuum is going to rotate soon.
Maybe once Lost
I hope
Vacuum
Field
goes
Goal
away,
reprint would
we'll
be
have
based.
I don't think we'll do that. I think they realize that starts really strong.
because
Bob.
that might be it might see used, but it's an A-spec. It takes your A-spec for your entire deck. I don't know. I just don't see it.
No, I agree with you. I think it's funny.
It is funny.
Up next is Letter with a Circle on it.
Is that what's literally
We
called?
call that eviction letter.
Obstructive Letter. Your opponent counts the cards in their hand, shuffles them, and puts them on the bottom of their deck. Then they draw a card for each card they put on the bottom of their deck.
Boo.
oh,
Boo. It's disruption that doesn't really get like you're essentially refreshing their hand, isn't it?
Isn't
it's
it?
similar to
It's
Peeking
peeking
Red
red card, basically.
It's
but you don't
similar to
get to
Peeking
look
Red
at their
card.
hand,
Yeah,
right?
it's not that good.
It-
You just don't get to look at their hand.
I mean, peeking
And
red
it's
card's
kind of
soft play,
similar.
right?
Very little, but yeah, it did.
Because all it really does is it disrupts your opponent in a way of like, cool, I know you have something unique this turn. It's going to the bottom of your deck, but that's what Iono's for anyway. And Iono actually reduces the amount of cards, hopefully, in your opponent's deck.
I see it more of as like a card you play after they've searched their deck for something with an attack, or if they had to grab a supporter with the effect of
But
something
the-
already played it.
The only way that works is if they are essentially hoping that you don't have an Iono, because we already play towards I do not leave my stuff in my hand because I'm going to get Iono next turn. So what exactly this would probably be not good enough because we're already playing towards that.
See,
against
you
that.
play that card after you've unfair stamped them because you gave them the 2 cards they wanted, and then you shuffle those 2 cards back in to get
Them
the
because
other
you
2
Caleb,
cards.
it's just 2 more cards.
Yeah,
than
it's
you
2
need.
more
Yeah.
cards. It's the same 2 cards.
No,
actually.
not only that, you give it 2 more cards or 2
So-
cards they want more.
Pasho Berry.
I like that they're doing this.
Okay,
This
so
is interesting.
hold
yes.
on. I haven't seen this card. Is this what we were talking about last time? Is every type getting one?
Maybe. So far, we got 3 of them.
Okay.
Pasho Berry says, whenever the Pokemon this card is attached to is damaged by an attack from your opponent's water Pokemon, this Pokemon takes 60 less damage from that attack after applying Weakness and Resistance. Then discard this card.
imagine throwing this on your bench, Pokemon for Greninja plays.
These are
Greninja-
interesting cards. I just don't know if they're going to play.
This one is the most interesting of them
I-
all because water is actually a
I
competent
I
type.
could honestly,
Currently, yes.
yeah, I could see this one seeing play because of Palkia coming
So
back.
hold on again, and I want to make sure. Does that work? Like, let's say for example, if you're trying to prevent some sort of Greninja play,
Yeah. Because it doesn't have to be in the act.
Minus 60. Doesn't say anything about being
throw it
active.
on the Manaphy so somebody doesn't gust it up and canceling clones.
Lost Vacuum.
I mean, that's yet another step. But these are interesting.
Did you look at me?
These are very reminiscent of the gloves where they affected each different type. These are obviously similar in that they affect different types. I like it. I think it's interesting. Will it see play right away? I don't know.
I honestly think this one
With
will
our-
probably see the most play out of them so far.
With Arvin and the fact that it's easily like, okay, cool, I need to make sure that this does not happen next turn. I'd say it sees at least a one of play in some decks.
If they have like a really bad water matchup.
Mm-hmm. Can we move on to the next card? The next card I'm really excited about.
So these two ace specs are both in the stellar starter set, but we're going to talk about each of them. The first one is
in starter set.
Mm-hmm.
the first one is Perfect Mixer. This is exactly a 1-for-1 reprint of my Super Compressor ace spec from one of my sets, but you know, I didn't think of it 4 years ago. Anyway, search your deck for up to 5 cards and discard them, then shuffle your deck.
I like you.
I am afraid of this card. Very much so.
This card's awesome.
Yeah.
This card's really strong.
Okay, so think about it like this. You're playing Gardevoir.
Yeah.
Okay, you have 3 already in the discard pile. Everything else is still stuck in your thing. Play it. Boom. Now you have access to all your energy. And that's insane.
I think that's a good use for it. I also think, like, obviously United Wings getting its extra guy now makes it. I think that's probably the ace spec
for you.
and standard at the very least.
Yeah, standard.
But
I don't know necessarily for Eternal, but for
probably
standard,
not Eternal. But because Eternal they have Battle Compressor, but in standard, this card's awesome. Because I feel like if you're a new player, right, discarding cards from your deck doesn't really seem good at all.
And
But
why
it
would you
so
do
good.
that?
And maybe that's why they did it, so that you can realize
Discard
players that
cards
have
are
never
good.
played with Battle Compressor don't realize how good it
Battle
is.
Like, I remember the first time I saw Battle Compressor, like before I even saw like Night March or anything.
It sounds
I
stupid.
was like, why would I do that? Why would I want to lose to deck out? You know?
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Now you're in
whoa,
love with it.
I can Metal Links, I can do like
Yeah.
all this other like stuff to accelerate energy from the discard. In formats with Versus Seeker, you put your supporters in there and Versus Seeker them out.
Do you want to know why this thing is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be one of the top 3 ace specs?
Unfair Stamp, Prime Catcher, and this.
Night Stretcher.
Night Stretcher. That's
Oh.
fair. That's very fair, actually.
Literally, I can pull any Pokemon I want out of my deck
Or energy.
and right back into my hand.
Yeah.
I actually
it's
like
good.
that a lot.
It is good. Night Searcher makes this even better. Up next is Precious Carrier. Search your deck for any number of basic Pokemon and put them onto the bench. Then shuffle your deck.
Reggie's is so back.
For any
ace
number
set.
of basic Pokemon.
Somebody was actually pointing out with Perfect Mixer, Ancient Box also likes it.
True.
Yeah, well, I mean, so many decks love the freaking Perfect Mixer. It opens up so many possibilities. But we're on Carrier, right?
All
Third-
aboard the Reggie train.
I'm so gonna play this with Reggie's. I'm going.
So what you do is you drop Area 0 under depths.
Yeah.
Your stadium card. Make sure that you have a Terrapagos or some other Pokemon that's a Terra on your bench, and then you just drop Precious Carrier and then fill her up.
So if you grab a Terra with Precious Carrier, you won't be able to fill it to
No.
the 8, and you can only get to the 5.
You have to have one in play already.
Okay, that's fine. But
Are you?
But yeah, because
are
you
you
can't-
gonna play this in Eternal, Reggie?
Playground Pichu kind of does that.
Like essentially,
that can get knocked out.
when you
Can get
play
knocked
it,
out. I don't care.
the bench space essentially
Yes,
doesn't
it's
become
like-
active in between the cards. So when you play it, it's not like the moment that Terra hits it between resolving the carrier is going to magically make it into 8. It was still it was still
This is a
remain.
very magical game.
Okay, next the best card in the set, Surfer.
Let's go.
I'm being very sarcastic. That word clear. Super sarcastic. It is not the best. It's not even close. It's bold. Search your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. If you do, draw cards until you have 5 in your hand.
I have
Draw
a question.
supporter.
I thought this was Marlin,
Draw
and
supporter.
I don't know if that makes me a bigot at this point.
So to me, this feels like a worse version of Birdkeeper.
Yeah,
Surfer.
isn't it Birdkeeper?
I
No,
barely
it's
know
worse. But Birdkeeper lets you switch and then draw 3. This you switch and then draw until 5. So unless you have a small hand, there's a chance this is just not very useful. Even he's laughing.
Perfect Mixer. I barely know.
Another I can't talk today. Another stellar starter set card that we will talk about right now is Terra Orb. Search your deck for a Terra Pokemon, reveal it and put it in your hand, then shuffle your
That's
deck.
awesome.
For a Terra
Dude,
Pokemon?
I want this to honestly at some point I want this to get a gold.
I bet it will. That's like the type of card that would.
So 2? In any deck that
or I
runs
want
a
it to
Terra,
be elite
2?
promo.
Because you don't
Or
want to
Oh,
commit
that's
fully
fine.
to
get
it.
it in a price pack.
Just 1 for getting it off of Arvin.
Because this is basically like the feather ball for
It gets me Charizard is what I'm hearing.
Well, you know what else gets, Featherball also gets
Cinderace.
Dragapult. And then
Dragon. It doesn't. Other
What?
Ball doesn't grab.
doesn't Dragapult have free retreat?
No, it's
Has
got one.
What was I thinking of then?
Probably this.
Cinderace.
Oh,
Cinderace.
I think it was Cinderace.
Cinderace and Garchomp have free retreat.
Garchomp, that's what it is. Special. Wait. Yeah. It's Garchomp. I'm going to stop. Special energy here. Rich energy. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides colorless energy. When you attach this card from your hand to a Pokemon, draw 4.
Tinkaton support.
Yay.
Yay.
The crowd goes mild.
I tried so hard to make that deck work.
It
Literally is counterintuitive to what it wants to do. It's going in both directions.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's gonna play this in United Wings
Rich
Why?
energy?
Why?
because somebody's gonna do that.
Just play Legacy Energy.
Well, I'm
Just
sure
play the-
somebody's gonna try it, but okay, cool. Just like any other ace spec, you should. Somebody's probably gonna try to play Reboot Pod in anything that doesn't have a future, but it doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, it is not good. But that is it for today's look at the first cards from Paradise Dragona and from the Stellar Starter sets. Hopefully you all have enjoyed and gotten a little bit of something out of this. Thank you all for watching. We will see you in the next video.